Padel is not even starting. It's just scratching the surface of what it could be. So we just wanted to establish the platform and the basis to scale growth, and that's the phase that we're going to start now.
Hello and welcome, Constant Sports friends and guests. We have a great episode today with Emiliano. He's the founder and CEO of Racquet360 joining us today. Thanks for coming, Emiliano.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no problem. And today we're going to really dive into the future of racket sports, that is, with the data, tech, the participation, the real boom, as we've seen from tennis, paddle, pickleball. It's exploding internationally, and it's making its way to the United States as well, as Emiliano will dive into with kind of a deeper talk into this sector. And so, Emiliano, just to kind of kick things off, what's it like kind of being, in this space where it's kind of like an origin, right? It's something new, and it's broken down in different categories and whatnot. But let's just start with why racket sports specifically in this category.
Yeah, I'm playing racket sports all my life. I'm a fan of sports in general, and I think after the pandemic, it was clear that people wanted to get together, have fun, also be well, that are around wellness and socializing in person. That's why Pickleball was such a growth story in the US after the pandemic, and Padel played that role internationally. And it was clear to us that Padel was coming, and it had a huge opportunity to grow as well in the US. So all racket sports in general are growing, specifically Padel and Pickleball, I think a little more because the barrier to entry, it's lower. It's easier, it's more engaging, it's more fun. You don't have to be an expert to have fun. And it's also a very good cardio. It's a great sport. It's very complete, and it's social. So it has a lot of the elements that people are looking for these days. And that's why we're so bullish about the growth of the sport.
Right. And you see them all over the place now, especially in California. You can't go more than a mile without hearing, pickleball or paddle or something, off in the distance. It's crazy to see the growth. And kind of before, I guess, this big growth, this big boom in the space, what was, maybe not broken is the right word, but what was kind of broken about the industry and the way you could track performance and improvement and data and systems?
People will start innovating and create new things and find where the needs are. And clearly, people want to socialize, and they want to have fun, and they want to be active, and they want to be healthy. And that's Padel meets all those checkbox.
Yep.
So I think it's not that something was broken. It's just that I think it's a solution to a need that has been developed in the last few years. I don't think that probably 30, 40 years ago, people were so conscious about wellness and socializing and these trends that are very important today. And that's why the need or finding something to do along those needs.
Right. Well, and you mentioned kind of, anytime a new sector comes, there's innovation, there's newness, there's people building and creating, and obviously that's kind of, I'm assuming, what led to Racquet360 here. But kind of what was the founding vision of Racquet360 and, you and the team building this product and this company?
Yeah, so we bet on those trends that I mentioned, the growth of racket sports around social, networking, wellness, the fact that Padel was the fastest growing sport in the world and was not existent in the US. The fact that Pickleball grew from nothing to 20 million plus players in the US in 4 or 5 years. It's a crazy growth story. So we paired those two together and realized that there would be a lot of growth opportunities around social racket sports, and the combination of multi-racket sports plus wellness plus food and beverage plus events plus leagues. So that's why we decided to create a holding that has 4 companies and the four companies are all betting on the same major trends, which are the ones that I just mentioned. But our four companies are interconnected and they have different approaches to the same growth. But we, as a holding company, we have a diversified approach to the growth.
I love it. And as you mentioned, kind of betting on this whole industry as a whole. And then recently, Racquet360 announced a $9 million funding round. And so kind of tell us about that. What was that process like? Obviously, kind of reaching that stage and reaching, what it's like to kind of get that funding and continue building.
Yes, yes. So we raised in a period of time, and we raised from family offices, friends, family, and with that money, we've been able to create four companies and grow the four companies to a point where we are now ready to scale. One of the four companies is Racquet360, which is a trade show. Today, very well established within 3 years already, growing at a very attractive, nice growth pace. We are well established in the industry, and now there's no doubt that people who wants to do business in racket sports will come to Racquet360. We do it once a year, and then we also have the club summits, and we have different events throughout the year. So Racquet360 is one of the businesses that we created. We also created Racquet Central, which is an e-commerce and distribution platform. We are one of the top e-commerce platforms for Padel in the US already. And as the Padel segment continues to grow, we are hoping to grow together with that growth and maintain the market share. And then we also have the National Padel League, which is today the largest amateur league in the country. And we have players from 50 different cities, thousands of players in every region. It's a lot of fun. They play at their local level, and then if they win, they move to regionals, and if they win, they go to nationals. It's a lot of players, and they get together, play, have fun, which is the most important. And then we also we have four clubs that we own and operate. So we have one in Atlanta, two in Houston, and one in Denver.
Okay.
So that's what we've been doing with the $9 million that we raised.
Wow. So you've been very active. It sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but this is just the beginning. I mean, Padel as an industry is in the very infancy. It's numbers vary depending who you ask, but let's assume it's between 100K, 500K players when there are about 30 million tennis players. So Padel is not even starting. It's just scratching the surface of what it could be. So we just wanted to establish the platform and the basis to scale growth, and that's the phase that we're going to start now.
Great, love it. And that's kind of was one of my next questions is where are we in the life cycle of paddle and pickleball? And it sounds like it's still in the infancy as far as paddle goes.
Yes. Compared to other mature markets like Spain or Argentina, Spain is one of the primary sports in the country, and Spain is a country where people play a lot of sports. Soccer is very popular, and obviously tennis and basketball, but Padel is now one of the top sports that is played, and the same in Argentina. Italy is growing a lot, Sweden, UK. So I don't see why not. There's going to be a lot of growth in the US, and I don't like to forecast any numbers. Yeah. We don't need to. All we care about is the fact that there's a huge opportunity for growth, considering that, we are today less than 5% of what tennis is, and probably less than 10% what pickleball is today. That's where we sit today. There's a huge opportunity to grow for sure.
Wow, that's awesome. And as far as kind of geographically, you've said, sounds like United States is kind of the next big market as far as the next big play is getting, would you say it's more educational in the sport, more courts? Where do you think that lies to get more, players in the United States?
Yeah, all of the above. We definitely need more courts. Courts have been doubling every year, but we need a lot more. So yeah. But there are probably 1,000 courts today in the US, but there are more than 200,000 tennis courts.
Right.
So again, I mean, compared to tennis, there's nothing. There are no courts almost. So we need 20x, 30x, 50x the amount of courts to be relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And then we need coaches. I mean, we don't have enough coaches because when we open clubs, what happens is that the first phase is to educate the people about the sport. And for that, you need a lot of coaches. So if you are thinking that 100 new clubs will open up in the next 2 years, we will need a few hundred coaches to go to those clubs and be able to train the people on the sport. So we definitely need a lot of help, and we need to work on as an industry. So we need to make the entry point for courts easier. It's very expensive. It takes a lot of time. And I mean, it's not easy to open a club. And then once you open the club, you need a lot of coaches to train the new people. So we are in that process today, and we need to, as an industry, work on improve those processes and make it less frictional so that more people can join sooner.
I see. And as far as the courts goes, they can be indoor and outdoor, from what I've heard. Correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm assuming indoor is probably preferable than outdoor. Or no? Yeah.
Yes. If you have the luxury of being able to afford, you always prefer indoor.
Indoor.
Depending on the location and the weather, obviously sometimes it's nicer to play outdoors. But yes, sometimes if you want to plan your weekly sport and you don't want to rely on weather, you go indoors and you know you're going to play 100%. But yeah, sometimes it's very nice to play outdoors. But yeah, preferable indoor.
Right. And then as far as getting players to play and getting the right community involved, you mentioned kind of community in the beginning, and people do it for the wellness, but also the community and building. As far as paddle goes, I guess one of the early struggles might be getting 4 players to play, because obviously with tennis you need 2. So does paddle need 4? Is that kind of preferable, or kind of
yes?
What's that process?
No, it's definitely a sport that is played with 4 players. So definitely you need 4. Yes, and it could be a struggle. So that's why in our clubs, especially at the beginning, we have a lot of clinics and lessons. So if you come by yourself or you have one more, you can join a lesson or a clinic that already exists. And we can place 3, 4, 5, 6 on a clinic, depending on and divided in different courts. We make rallies, we make exercises, training. So at the beginning, it's a lot of education and training, and not necessarily you need to play with 4. Because you're going to be training the different shots and the different positions and ball movement and bounces and things like that. And once you start coming to lessons and you learn, then there through the lessons you make friends, you coordinate to play. Yep. So I mean, if you follow the path and the process, you should be fine.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. And kind of like you mentioned, is the education is a big piece. Also, the coaching part, which I think I didn't even realize you need the coaches to help teach the sport, educate the players, get the community involved. And then as far as kind of the player experience, where have you seen? I mean, for Racquet360, its case as well. Like, how do you kind of help promote the players, maybe with your leagues, with the overall player experience? What kind of data are they using, kind of in their day to day and in the matches?
Yeah. Obviously, the most reliable source for new players is word of mouth. We tend to go after the racket sports players, but sometimes they don't come necessarily from racket sports. So we rely on social media, influencers, and word of mouth. It's very important that we provide an amazing experience for everybody when they come to our club, to make sure that they can return and recommend to others. That's the only way we have to grow the sport and to grow the community. So that's our goal. So.
Great. I love it. And then I was just curious, as far as kind of the ecosystem goes, with the data, with the training, the education, that's kind of all funneled in through your several companies. Have you seen one kind of take over the other, and vice versa?
Yes. Our group in particular, Racquet360, since we have the trade show, we have the league, we have the e-commerce and the clubs,
Yeah.
we have a very unique view of the industry. We know where are the players growing. We know where are the players demanding. We know where we have more group of players, the levels of the different players by region,
Hmm.
because we have the
Wow.
signups of the teams in different regions and they sign up for different levels.
Hmm.
But we also have the e-commerce and we understand what products they are demanding more at certain times and where zip codes they are demanding from. And then they
Yeah.
come to the trade show and we see who is selling. Yeah. So I would say as a Racquet360 group, yes, we have a very unique view of the industry and we can understand where the growth is coming and going. Yeah, we designed this with that in mind,
Yeah.
and it's working to our advantage, I think.
Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, it gives you all the insights, all the data you need to know kind of where to go, where the industry is going. And as far as like coexisting with all these, racket sports, and the increase and the boom kind of here in the United States, do you think that it's possible for all to coexist and continue to rise? Do you think one may be over the other? Do you see, is there a new racket sport that we're not familiar with that could have hit the scene in the space?
Yeah, so we are of the idea that all racket sports should coexist.
Hmm.
In our club in Atlanta, Windward, we have all racket sports, and I mean, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
The idea, again, is what I mentioned at the beginning,
Hmm.
is to be active,
Yep.
to be healthy, to be social, interact. So we don't care if you play pickleball and then go take grab coffee with a friend, or
Yep.
if you go to the gym and then you play pickleball, or you go to the gym and then play paddle. It's the same
Hmm.
as long as you stay active and you socialize and you do sports. You're gonna be healthy and you're gonna be interacting, and that's our vision. And it doesn't matter which racket sports you play. So I play all racket
Hmm.
sports and I love it, and I don't think why I need to pick one.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Yeah, no, of course, and like you said, they all go so hand in hand so well. And could you play? Side note? What's kind of the dimensions of a paddle court? Is it because I know you can play pickleball on a tennis court, obviously smaller in size and things like that. But is paddle its own standalone court? You can't play the others on it.
Yeah, because Padel has the
The
walls.
walls, right?
Yeah, there are glass walls, but once you set a paddle court, you cannot change it for anything else.
Okay.
The size, it's 33 by 66 feet.
Okay.
You can probably fit 3 to 4 paddle courts on 2 tennis courts. With a little of extra space, you
Hmm.
can you can do 4 paddle courts in 2 tennis courts, so double the space. But from a revenue perspective, from a private club, think about the fact that if you have 2 tennis courts, you probably have 4 players at one point in time,
Right.
2 people playing singles. Paddle is play doubles. So in 2 courts, 2 tennis courts, you have 4 players. If you put 4 paddle courts, you have 16 players.
Right.
So from 4 to 16 with the same real estate.
Yep.
So
I see.
that's a big difference in terms of revenue multiplier.
Hmm.
But it's not all about revenue. It's also about, I mean, having engagement with the community
Hmm.
and play sports. But yes, in terms of revenue per square feet, paddle, it's better.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, good to know. And then, as far as kind of the industry moving along, we see this initial boom and the growth in the states. What are your thoughts on kind of where do you see racket sports in a whole in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think that they are going to continue to grow. That's my personal opinion. I think what we are seeing in the job market and the increase in productivity, people should have more time in their hands.
Hmm.
Also, they are more conscious about being social and healthy. So I don't think those trends are going away. The fact that people will have more time in their hands, the fact that people will live longer, the fact that they're going to want to stay active and be social. So those are trends that favor all racket sports, and I'm a firm believer that those trends are going to continue. That's why we are so bullish about what's coming for us.
Mhm. Great to hear. And then, as far as kind of the flip side of that question, what's one thing maybe investors, builders like yourself, others are underestimating about the racket sports category?
Yeah, clearly one of the biggest challenges is the real estate and all the permitting process.
Mm.
Getting into a new site and presenting the plans to build a new paddle club, the architectural, the approvals, the zoning, it's very frictional and takes a long time. So every club owner can probably testify how frustrating and long and expensive process that is. And I know it's not the same in other countries. So that's definitely one of the challenges that we all face.
I see. Okay, and then it is something you weren't maybe necessarily prepared for is the duration of how long a lot of red tape. It sounds like, especially building a club. I'm assuming, and with the two clubs you guys have,
Yeah,
it was a lot of work.
exactly.
And then, as far as kind of building and growing, do you see more of these clubs kind of being built out as far as Rack360
No,
goes?
so
Did you
we
guys
have
build
four now,
four?
and we're definitely going to have a lot more. Yes, the idea is to have a lot more going forward. Yes.
I see. Okay. And then, as far as kind of you have like the holding company, then the multiple inside of Rack360, is there one that is more of a driver as far as the industry goes than another, or they are kind of equally building alongside one another?
No, I think they're equally building alongside each other, and each one helps the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good synergistic circle that we built. So it's working very well for us, and I think we all would need the four verticals integrated. Yeah.
Right. So having the four verticals integrated obviously is key for your success in building. And what's next kind of for Rack360 long term? I'll kind of give you the floor to kind of close us out as far as the potential growth. You can kind of take it wherever you want for company-wise, yourself, etc.
Yeah. So as I said, I think we set the foundation for growth. We learn a lot on how to build and operate clubs. Now we need to scale the lessons we learn and the formulas that we have now. The trade show is also very well established and ready to scale. The commerce, the league. So we were working very hard on setting the foundation. And I think the definition of what's next is now we need to scale. Leveraging on everything we've learned so far and the basement that we built.
Yeah, so time to scale, time to continue building. And where can the listeners and viewers find the clubs, also the trade show, the e-commerce website, and all those companies and things?
Yeah, the easiest is if you go to racquet360.com. That's our holding website, and within Racquet360 you will find links to all of our businesses.
Okay, great. And is the trade show coming up, or did we pass it, or what's next?
No, we just passed it in March.
Okay.
It's coming next March again.
Okay, great. And where was it, in Florida? Where was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Fort Lauderdale. Yeah.
Okay, great. So next March, next March we'll look
Yeah,
at Florida
I hope
for
to
again.
see you there in person. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it. Well, thanks for joining us today, Emiliano, and for listeners and viewers. This was the founder and CEO of Racket360. We dove into the racket sports world with the data, tech, and continuing this participation boom as we've seen in the paddle sports here in across the world, not just in the United States. So thanks again, Emiliano, and we'll see you guys
Sure.
next week.
Thank you, Connor.
You got it.
Nice meeting you. Bye.
Likewise.